Hello, wankers. It's your old buddy Flapjack Bickle here to talk about a worthless piece of shit from the 90s. No, I'm not talking about Baywatch. I'm actually referring to The Godfather Part 3, Francis Coppola's bloated monstrosity that I hate with an almost demented passion. After a string of box office duds in the 1980s, the prospect of a third Godfather film must have been quite tempting for Coppola, and given the illustrious pedigree of the first two, this would be as close to a guaranteed hit as he could hope for. Unfortunately, although the movie did turn a profit and even managed to attract some favourable reviews, it is unequivocally bollocks. From the moment Al Pacino appears on screen looking like a razor head, you know this film is going to stink worse than a tramp's bin bag. In the opening scene, he's talking to some archbishop who looks so much like the jockey Willie Carson, he might as well have played the scene on horseback. Half expected Nashwan to make an appearance. Talking of flogging a dead horse, Coppola desperately tries to mimic the first two films, so you get the big Corleone party at the beginning, along with recycled music and dialogue in a lame attempt to recapture the original magic. The problem is, the great storylines and flavour of 1 and 2 are completely absent here. Whatever plot there is, something about Michael's stake in the Vatican Bank, I just found incomprehensible, possibly because I was so ass-numbingly bored I tuned out. The third effort has no character, no credibility, and it certainly doesn't help that there's not a single decent performance in the whole film, with acting that ranges from average to outright shocking. Pacino is a great screen actor, no question, but he's depressingly mediocre here, and to be honest, at times a bit embarrassing to watch. The scenes that highlight Michael's struggle with diabetes don't work and come off more funny than tragic. Watching this fearsome gangster figure stuffing his face with chocolate and quaffing orange juice to correct his blood sugar level is just too fucking weird, and Pacino doesn't do himself any favours with his overacting. Andy Garcia, who plays Michael's nephew Vincent, is an actor I've never really warmed to. His tough guy routine doesn't convince and as usually trades on his Richard Gere style slow blinking, communicating about as much depth as a fucking puddle. And Diane Keaton makes an unwelcome appearance as Kay, and in the latter part of the film inexplicably adopts a hateful Annie Hall persona, replete with jumble-sale mental defective wardrobe. Eli Wallach pops up as an aging Don, and he's about as convincing playing an Italian as I would be playing a Brooklyn Jew. Coppola's real-life sister, Talia Shire, reprises her role as Connie, but her character is just off-the-scale bizarre here. Hunched over in funereal clothes, gesticulating wildly and planning hits left, right and centre, she's like some angel of death bag lady. I've saved the best till last, though. Now we know that Uncle Francis has never been afraid of a bit of nepotism, but he really lost his friggin' marbles on this movie. Winona Ryder was originally cast as Mary Corleone, but she pulled out at the last minute due to quote-unquote nervous exhaustion. So how did Coppola solve this? Well, he settled on the best person for the job, which was coincidentally his own daughter Sophia, a girl with no acting experience coupled with no acting talent. A real winning combination for sure. There was a rumour that she'd auditioned once for the role of a plank of wood, but they felt she wasn't quite animated enough. Anyway, it's now a matter of public record that Sophia's work in The Godfather 3 is truly an acting horror show. Playing the sweet naive Mary, she comes off like a vacant sneering valley girl, delivering her lines with all the conviction of a cocktail waitress reading out a bar menu. Apparently Al Pacino is less than pleased with Sophia's participation in the film. This is his reaction to the news of her casting. And here again after he saw her performance. Of course, Sophia has become a bit of a serial offender when it comes to crimes against cinema. I mean, okay, she's made a couple of half-decent movies, but have you seen The Bling Ring? This is a film so staggeringly crap, it is to cinematic art what Ted Bundy is to feminism. If you haven't seen it, take my advice and avoid it like a syphilitic hooker. I think the best thing you can say about the acting in Part 3 is when Martin Scorsese's mum turns up in a cameo, she actually manages to avoid looking straight into the camera. Anyone familiar with Goodfellas or Casino will appreciate this as a major accomplishment. Nice one, Mama Scorsese. One of the strangest things about Godfather 3 is how, given the talent involved behind the camera, the level of filmmaking is so unsophisticated. I've seen 1970s sitcoms that were directed with more flair. Coppola serves up one dud scene after another with his lacklustre choice of shots and edits. This is perfectly illustrated during Michael's diabetic collapse, which is covered by one camera stuck in the corner of a room, leaving the actors totally exposed. Then there's the ridiculous helicopter shootout, and a bunch of crappy static shots that do nothing to generate any tension or excitement. And let's not forget the opera set piece at the end, cut so lazily as flabbier than Clemenza's gut. I've been trying to think of something complimentary to say about this film, but it's pretty difficult. Alright, the Sicilian countryside looks nice. There's some good set design, Pacino and Garcia wear some sharp suits, and that's about it. Coppola actually re-edited the film and released it again in 2020, but if you're wondering which version works better, I wouldn't waste your time. You could jumble this movie around, play lucky dip with it, rearrange it every which way. It wouldn't make any fucking difference. You know that saying, you can't polish a turd? Well, this is one that he clearly doesn't want to flush. God knows why. I mean, you can put lipstick and a wig on John Merritt, but he's still going to look like shit. No offence, John. Well, it's way past my bedtime now. If you're in a masochistic mood, by all means waste 2.5 hours of your day on this flatulent dog, but don't say you weren't warned. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little video, but if not, you are formally invited to kiss my arse. You take care now.